Welcome, guys,
That's
to
right.
the Roundtable podcast. Before we go, just really start getting engaged in conversation. We know this take a little minute for everybody to start just paying attention to what's going on with this pod.
That's right.
So we're sending out a lot of
Shares and
shares,
things like that.
sharing the video out and everything. So I mean, we can continue conversation too. We just really get into, so we can just send out these links. But I think Lovely T was talking about she was just down there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I visited what part of Texas are you in?
I'm in Houston.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
All right.
Houston, Texas.
Yep. I was in Dallas a couple years ago.
Uh-huh.
But it's a lot of, I mean, one of the things I noticed immediately was the amount of construction.
That's why I don't like going to Dallas.
You say that's why?
I don't like going to Dallas because their construction is a lot worse than Houston.
Okay. But I mean, that's a good sign of, growth, but it was a lot. I was like, wow.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'll actually be in Dallas in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well,
So how is Houston different than Dallas, would you say?
Houston is a lot bigger. We're the
Okay.
fourth largest city in the United States, so it's a lot bigger. Traffic is bad, I ain't gonna lie, but it's just I don't know.
now see, that was one of the reasons. That was one of the reasons that was I didn't want to go. That from there to Atlanta, we thought about Atlanta with the traffic. That really our main two was Atlanta and Nevada.
And Henderson, Nevada.
Yeah, those were our two that we thought about going only because of what we do for a living. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's booming in those areas because we're in the media, part of the media industry. So it was more, but all of those things, including yours, the traffic is like, well, Nevada, the traffic wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
Not at all. And I don't know, maybe it's because it was COVID going
Probably
on,
so.
when we went down there. But yeah, that was the reason. And California.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We thought about Cali.
California was the first one, then we
but because of the traffic down there, I just said, no, I don't even have the patience for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
California traffic, for real.
Right.
But I mean, guys, listen. Welcome to the Roundtable podcast. We're still gonna go ahead and move forward. Guys, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Guys, we would like you to like and share this page. Even now, you can go on to our different links. Here they go up on the screen. Obviously, you're already on Facebook. Facebook. But we would like you to go to our YouTube page. We'd like you to go to our IG. And guess what? You could also go to our website.
That's right.
Guys, and watch this on our website. That's right. You can watch this on our website. And the link is up. The graphic is up. Lower third, which one you want to call it, is up on the screen.
That's right.
Guys, listen, we're going to have a great topic, a very interesting topic that we're going to talk about. Now, I know that this is November, and Domestic Violence Month was last month, right? I think awareness was last month. But guess what?
But I think
it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it was that it was last month. What matters is that we're talking about it right this second, right now, because guess what? It's very important to talk about this matter. And I like to say that even now, we're in this COVID, we're this lockdown.
Damage, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of tempers flaring, a lot of a lot of people are just going through so much, whether it be losing their jobs. It's just so much pressure in the home right now.
Yes.
Whether you're a boyfriend and girlfriend, whether you're husband and wife, it's going on, and it does matter. And that's why we want to have this conversation,
Yes, most definitely.
because we need to have it. I mean, just that simple. We need to have this conversation. And luckily, guys, guess what? We have a guest here today, but we also have social workers on site, professional, educated social workers that specialize in these sort of situations. So that's a great thing. That's a great thing. And guys, we are even going to leave. I don't know. Do we have a contact number so that if there's anyone that is going through these situations, they can reach out and contact. Okay, we have something here, but exactly. But even if our social workers, even if they have any advice in terms of contact in local areas such as we're in the Michigan area,
well, if our producer could put up also first step, which is the DV shelter that caters to Wayne County outside of Detroit. And then there's the YWCA Interim House, which is the only domestic violence shelter that services the city of Detroit. And then you have Turning Point, which is going to cater to your east side. So like Warren, Macomb, Oakland County, I think a little bit of Oakland County. So Turning Point would be there. So those would be 3 domestic violence shelters locally that viewers, if they are in that situation and can safely exit, they can call those numbers.
Now, Lovely T, do she have access to type that in to show?
Well, she can put it on the like in the comment section or somewhere like that.
Yeah. Okay. Can you type that in on your end, Lovely T?
Not Lovely T.
I mean, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Can Lovely T type in? You know how we leave those comments.
That's what she wants to.
Before the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Before it's over, I'll send it. Because I have it up, I'll just send it on the email that y'all send me on the link from social media. Yeah. I'll just send it back. I'll send it back on there. I'm about to put it in there.
Put it up that way. Okay, that'll be great to do that. So she could remember to put all that. But guys, listen, I'm going to, we have our platform today. We already know we have Lovely T here today. We have RW3. We have ourselves. We're here today, obviously, Tasha and Tony. On the platform, who regularly comes on, the regular host that comes on every Sunday at 4, we'll say 4:40, 4:45, that we come in. Guys, we're asking you to tune in. We're gonna have some interesting conversation today, as well as next week. Next week we're gonna have on the show pastors. It's going to be 2 pastors are going to come on, and we're going to talk about the healing process. How do we heal from here after the election? Because we know that we're definitely in a divided nation,
right now,
and there's so much that's going on. Tempers are flaring. People are just at their worst. if I want to use that, some people just at their worst in terms of their character because of this election, and it's it's dividing us. It's definitely dividing us, and we need someone that can come in, and we're going to have. We do have the social workers that are here that can talk as well, but I want to go from both positions, even from a spiritual position, because guess what? There's even a lot of conflict within the churches as well because of this election process. So we're definitely going to talk about that next week. That should be a strong conversation, guys. We ask you to tune in next week so that you can be a part of that. Guys, we definitely want you to like and subscribe. We definitely want you to leave your comments. What do you think? Even get into this this conversation, this podcast, even after the pod is over. I noticed that we get a lot of comments. People leave comments after we post it. They reach out to us and they leave their comments. So even after the pod is over, you're welcome to leave your comment. If we see it, we still will comment. We'll leave it. We'll get back with you. Regardless, if you would like to be a part of this show, leave a comment. Let us know that you want to be a part of this comment, part of this show. And if we find that it's interesting enough to talk about, guess what? We'll bring you on to the show so that we can have dialogue on this here platform, guys. So now we're going to get into the show and begin to talk about what's going on and our special guest here. I'm going to leave that over to Lady B.
So I want to introduce our guest for today, Tina J. Lewis. Tina is a survivor of domestic violence. She's the author of Total Deliverance, A Survivor's Story. She is an advocate, a mentor, a speaker, a voice for the voiceless. She is a mentor for a nonprofit in Houston, Texas, where she resides. She also speaks on Saturdays about soul ties on her Facebook Live, where she ties this into domestic violence, and in the process of starting her own podcast and coaching business in the near future. So yes, we welcome you, Tina. We thank you for coming.
Thank y'all so much for allowing me to come on. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
We don't have a clap track.
Yeah, we need one. We do need one.
Yeah.
But listen, before we get started, we're going to play this video because it's necessary to play in terms of what's going on. Somebody might probably don't know what is domestic violence. What does it mean? Terminology. And I have a video that we're going to play real quickly, just so we can get some things moving. And the producer actually should have that set to go to play that video. So we just wait.
So we're just waiting.
Lovely T, check your text message.
It's very windy out here.
Yeah, it is. So if we lose anything,
you might have to turn that up.
Domestic violence is a pattern of behavior that includes use of threats of violence and intimidation for the purpose of gaining power and control over another person. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to an increase in domestic violence incidents nationwide, with people having no choice but to spend more time at home. Gilbert was no exception. Calls for domestic violence have increased compared to this time last year. The reason for these calls are also different, with an increase in the intensity of crimes. Remember, domestic violence can happen to anyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, education level, religion, gender, or age. 40% of the incidents reported in Gilbert involved people between the ages of 26 and 37. Check in with your loved ones, even if you're unable to see them in person. If you think you are being abusive, or you or someone you know is being abused, call the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence at 1-800-799-7233 or text 741-741 to speak to a live crisis counselor. For more information regarding emergency helplines as well as non-emergency resources, please visit gilbertaz.gov/DVAM.
All right. So that was a video we wanted to just play, and maybe somebody probably needed to be educated in that area. Now I'm going to give it back over to.
A little bit real quick. So in this episode, we will be discussing soul ties, domestic violence. People often think of domestic violence only in terms of the black eyes and bruises that can be seen. In reality, domestic violence is a pattern of assaultive and coercive behaviors like abusive men use to control their intimate partners. As adaptive and resilient as they are, women who have been battered nevertheless face a daunting number of barriers to escaping the violence. So that's all I'm gonna kind of just read. So we're just kind of gonna be talking about, like I said, we're gonna be allowing Tina to share her story, and we're gonna kind of go from there.
Yeah, now tell us about your story. What made you put this book together? Let's go from there. What made you go and write this book?
Okay. The reason I wrote it was because prior to getting into this relationship, which ultimately turned into a marriage, I was always a domestic violence advocate. I was. I had been in a relationship in my early 20s, and then um, here I am close to hitting 50 years old. I'm in it again. So even while I was going through the domestic violence relationship, I knew I had a story to tell. And I didn't realize that the story was going to be so powerful until some things transpired after I left the relationship. And I knew I had to tell it. I had to tell it because I'm very transparent in my book. I say some things that happen. And, and I was just sitting here thinking today, there were some things that I didn't even put in the book that was very powerful. So I know with my story, me being transparent, that I can help somebody
That's
and
right.
just talk about domestic violence. And that's what I speak about. I'm very passionate about it.
Yes, and I know you said in your book that I have never had a good relationship with my father, and because of that, I was seeking validation from all the wrong men. What can you elaborate on that for me just a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of goes and tells what I speak about with soul ties. So soul ties is that emotional, the spirit that you have, like at the beginning of your life. Well, I did not get that from my father. I didn't get the bonding. I didn't get uh this is what you need to look for in a man. I'm just gonna be blank. I didn't get the love. And I'm gonna be honest, even today, I can actually say that yes, my father, he's my father and I love him, I respect him. But as far as having that bond, like a daughter should have with her father, I didn't have that. So how am I to know what love looks like when love looks like my father, who was an abuser? You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? So I
yeah,
attracted those type of men in my life, not once but twice. So
that's right.
that's what I was attracting. So that spiritual bond that I didn't get, I was seeking it and I got it in him.
Mm,
Ah, yes. And then it's also something that really struck me when I read your book.
Hmm.
You had said that I never believed that I was enough, and I've always had to do more. What did you mean by that? That you felt like you never was enough. You had to do more.
Well, when you're in that type of relationship, that person is going to always tell you you're not enough. They're always going to compare you to somebody else. They're going to belittle you. They're going to demeanor you. They're going to, no, you may come in like I did. I came into the relationship like, oh, yeah, I am enough. But when you have somebody that's constantly telling you who you are, it's just like you start believing that. And then you're like, well, maybe I'm not enough. And that's what an abuser does. And that's what that narcissistic type of person does. They are manipulating. They'll get you to think otherwise when you know that's not you. You come on, you start getting those attributes and like, well, maybe I'm not enough.
Um, question. I just kind of looking at the bio. Could you, define for us and audience when you say, how do you define soul tie? Number one, how would you know that your soul is actually tied to someone? I mean, make that,
Okay,
yeah.
sure. So how you gonna know? So the first soul tie that you have, and it's biblical. Like I always tell people, you're not gonna find the word soul tie in the Bible. You're not. It's that intimate relationship. So when I'm getting in that relationship with that person and I'm tying myself, my emotion, it's an emotional thing that you start taking on those attributes of that person. And it doesn't always have to be in an intimate, it could be in a friendship. It's all about the emotional side of your spirit, where you taking on, like, say, for instance, a best friend. Y'all break up and you can't move on from it. So that's how you're tied to that person. You have to actually break it. So that's how you can differentiate the two. It could be in a friendship, it could be in a business relationship. But again, like I said, the most intimate part is when you bind and when you have that sexual relationship, you take on. and it's hard. And it's so hard sometimes when, like for me, even after things transpired in my marriage and I went my separate ways, y'all, that was a thing. It was hard. And you already read my book. You know what happened in the book. So even though things transpired and I was separate from him, and even after I'm even gonna give it away, he was deceased. I was still tied to him. And in order to break anything, you got to forgive. So I had to forgive that, what happened to me, to break it. And then I can say, actually, within this last year and a half, I'm back to who I am because I've freed myself from that bondage. And I can move on and I can smile again and I can be who God created me to be. So that's how you can tell what a soul tie is when you got that spiritual bond with somebody. You can't free yourself. And I always say soul ties are godly or they're ungodly. So the godly ones are the good people that always differentiate between negative and positive. You want to keep positive people in your life. So when I'm tying my soul in a intimate relationship with somebody, we got to be equally yoked. We have to have the same things going for us. He's not going to tear me down. I'm not going to tear him down. We're going to build each other up. But when you got the opposite of who you are, you keep on dealing with that. You're going to take on those same type of attributes of that person. I even say in some of the things that he even had me saying things that I know was out of my character. I was like, wow, some things he would say. So that's why I speak so about soul ties and dealing with domestic violence. Even when coming into the relationship, I knew who I was, and I speak so adamantly about you have to pay attention to the red flags. I didn't pay attention. I already knew because I had been in an abusive relationship before. And I guess being by myself for so long, almost 14 years, I guess, desperation. I don't know, looking back on it, why I just didn't pay attention. But now I have to pay attention. And I teach people you have to pay attention because when it don't feel good with your spirit and that discernment, that's a flag, that's a stop, that's a no, that's a caution.
Let me ask you that because that led me to this question, something you said that sparked something. Okay, so now so for those out there, because, you know, there's someone out there that may be, I mean, obviously, and this is, I know we're not getting to the end of the conversation, but
Right.
and there's still an individual out there who need to recognize the signs. And I'm not even talking about, I'm talking about even before you, well, sometimes I guess they cover up, but I'm not the expert in that area. Okay, so now, is there a way you can see the signs before you even get into the relationship, or it's just a cover up before you enter into the relationship? How do you know those signs? Or
Well,
how did you see the signs?
it is a cover up, but then one thing about it, they're gonna show you something, but you got to really be into tune into what they're saying. Like for me, I said I was in an abusive relationship, so I knew some of the signs and I ignored them. Of course, they're gonna put on their best behavior, but I was saying last night on one of my on the soul tie last night, when you get in a relationship, this is a ticker right here, and this person is always talking about that ex. They always putting her down. They're always putting somebody down in their family. They're always something. That's a red flag right there. There's something going on with that person. So, and that happened with me, even, before we even took it to the intimate side. He would always talk about, because everybody else, never bring blame on himself. And the controlling and the manipulation, because they're gonna show you. Like for instance, I even talk about how he would always want to say, look at my phone and stuff like that. And I was in a Vegas. I was on a business trip. He was still in a whole different state, y'all. I'm in Houston, Texas, but I was in Las Vegas at that time. This man is blowing up my phone. That's not just blowing up my phone and leaving messages like who you with, what you doing. Those are red flags.
So let me ask you this. So was it a sign of not trusting you? And was that one of the signs? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's a trust issue.
Wow.
And really don't have nothing to do with you. It's all about them. Because they don't know how to trust and they don't know how to allow you to be who you are. And I'm telling him, this is me. That's not me. Don't compare me to somebody else.
Wow. So now I want to read something, and I want you to tell me. It was actually in the video we just saw.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me how does it sound familiar?
Okay.
And it says domestic violence is a pattern of behavior that includes threats of violence and intimidation for the purpose of gaining power and control over another person. Now, did you see that? Did you see that? And I noticed the underscore of this is for the purpose of gaining power and control over another person. So I take you through all of these different steps. In other words, intimidation, violence. Was that phone call? The check on you? Was it in a violent way, or was it in a calm way? Just so I can make sure that I have that control over your mind, even though you in another state. Did you feel that?
No, I think it was more like about the conversation wasn't good because he got irate.
Right. That's
He
right.
got accusing me of things. So no, it was not a good conversation. And that
Okay.
is exactly what they said in the video. That's exactly how it goes. It's
Wow.
all about controlling you to
Yeah.
do and here's the sad thing about it. When we finally decided, hey, I'm ready to leave, I'm done with this, that's the most dangerous time for a woman to lose her life because he or she is losing their control.
You know, in my younger years, I used to work for the city of Detroit,
Hmm.
and my job was I was an advocate for. I work with social workers, work along with them,
Hmm.
and our job was to pick up and advocate for our clients. I won't get more into detail of what they did, but because it's
Okay.
personal. But we had to get them to different shelters, and we dealt with a lot of women that were in domestic violence relationships, where we'll have to take them to shelters,
Yeah.
and here was the thing, they obviously couldn't tell the abuser where they were.
Mm-mm.
So we had to pick them up and we had to take them to, shelters that were just for women. And I
Right.
mean, it was like Fort Knox to get up into those
Yeah.
those facilities because they didn't want the accuser to come after them. You know what I mean? So and we dealt with that. I dealt with that for years, taking those women to those different locations,
Yes.
and it was almost like they were hidden. Now I know why, and some of them
Hmm.
were afraid to leave. And what I found out, and maybe RW3 and Lovely T can comment on this. I found that a lot of them were afraid to leave because
Hmm.
it wasn't that they didn't want to leave, it's
Yeah.
just they felt like they had no support system. So
True.
if they wanted to get out of the relationship, they had nowhere to go.
And it's good you said that
Hmm.
because I piggyback off of that because she's in her book. She said this is the day that fear came to reside with me. And then you said real quick, I heard the fear in his voice and saw the tears roll down my grown son's face. He said, "Mama, what are we going to do if he kills you?"
Wow.
So
So, but respond to that, RW3 and Lovely T. What do you guys think about that? Do you find in your practices, do you find, or in dealing with those individuals, is it a thing where they want to leave, or do they have the mind so wrapped up in control where they think that everything is going to be all right, and they always blame themselves to say if I just
Hmm.
do better in this area? What is in your time? I mean, what do you find in that area?
Well, I know that on average, and they say that this is kind of a fairly old statistic, but on average, it takes someone 7 times
Yeah.
of coming and going before they
Hmm.
finally are able to leave for good.
Yeah.
And part of that, outlining or highlighting two of many reasons is what you just said. There's a lack of resources, especially when you have kids and property and things that can be taken through the court system and the legal system, and working with DV cases, because I work both with domestic violence and sexual assault. Um, One of the differences that I see in those cases is that the DV cases, again, they are, I don't want to say messy, but, and maybe you can, I don't
They,
know a better word, but it gets very entangled,
yes.
um, and it gets really nasty because they will, again, the purpose is to have to use coercion,
Mm-hmm.
and maintain control. So whatever they can grasp at to maintain that control, whether it be the kids, the dog, the whatever, violence, they will use it to no end. And the other thing that I wanted to bring out, and I'll let RW go, is that statistically, again, speaking, um, people tend to experience emotional and psychological abuse at a higher percentage than they do physical abuse. And that's not to say that physical abuse doesn't hurt, but that's just to say that we can't look at the pictures that we see in October, the commercials where the woman has the black eye, because many times they're doing things like gaslighting. What is
Yes.
gaslighting? That's when like the abuser does something purposely to try to make you think you're wrong, or it's
Yep.
like you were saying, like the guest was saying, something is wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I would say those two factors: lack of resources, because it gets really really messy, and then the other factor is just what you said. When a woman gets ready to leave, that's the most dangerous part.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we've heard stories here locally where the woman watched her kids get killed and her strangled, and it's it's usually at that point, like you say, when they know that they no longer have control, that
Mm-hmm.
again, they're going to do everything possible to maintain that, even if it means killing the person or killing themselves along the way too. So
I think, and it's interesting. I had recently have been reading. Um, there's so many, like you said, our guest and Lovely T about. There's so many. You said messy, but there's just a myriad of emotions that's happening.
Yeah.
With the person, that's being abused. I had read where it talked about how they looked at some brain scans and some of the same properties, addictive properties that keeps a person, for example, I know that this crack or heroin
Yeah.
can kill me, but I'm going to keep going back getting high. So
Yep.
some of those same things they said that's going on in the brain of an addict, they see of the abuse in terms of, I know this is not good for me, but the highs and lows of someone, the addiction, um,
Mm-hmm.
the stream of addiction, and that's a major part of it as well. Like you said, Lovely T, about because I know somebody currently now with two individuals. One, the individual, the husband, her arm was broken, um, and she says, and I talked about the shelters and everything, but she talked about she is so afraid that I think he's gonna find me and kill me even if I go to the shelter. So, and plus there's some children. So I need to be in an environment to protect my children. So there's so many other factors. And like you said, psychologically, they don't believe that even if I do get a restraining order, because the police can only, it's not really preventive because the order just said you only can be X amount of feet. But by the time they get involved, the person has already came and did something to the individual. So it's a very, very challenging dichotomy when
It
it
is.
comes to that. People say, "Oh, why don't they just leave?" But it's more than that.
It
It's more.
is.
And that's a good. I want to go with that. Actually, that's what my next question was going to be. Like, okay, so when is it time to leave? I mean, so the first time that you experience that situation, Do you leave in? Like, when do you give that person a second chance? And tell them, well, you know, everything's, maybe he was just upset or she was, because women do violence, domestic violence on men just like men do it.
That's
It's
true.
probably more prevalent with women, you know, than it is men, but it's on both parties. But I'm saying, like, when is it, should you leave the first time it happens? Or should you, I mean, what happens in that situation? Why didn't you leave the first time that it happened to you?
Because of the fear. But
There
I'll
you
let
go.
somebody let her.
Yeah, definitely because of the fear. Why I didn't leave the first time, and when I say in my book that first time that he hit me, and we were on our way to Dallas, I said I should have left. So I always, when I'm speaking, this is what I said, and I love what you just said about how the brain works with the crack addict. And I say this: in order for a woman to leave, they have to hit rock bottom. Same scenario.
Mm,
You got to find your why. And your why
yeah.
has to be so big, it'll make you cry. And my
So,
why was big. And she read my book. It was about my grandson. So
mm,
you got to find a reason. If your reason for staying outweighs your reason for leaving, you're not going to leave.
mm.
You have to
And,
find that why.
right.
My
And
mama,
you,
I always say, when my mama said, you get tired of being sick and tired, that's when you're going to figure that thing out, y'all. And I got there. I was tired. I was tired.
I say it all the
I was
time
tired.
too. I say
Yeah,
it all. That's why I must have some genes from down
absolutely.
south. That's
and so you also talked about, you said that when the abuse began again, so maybe it stopped and then it started back. You said it wasn't physical but verbal. So
Oh,
what did you
yeah.
mean by that?
Well, y'all just talked about that
Yeah,
mental,
yeah.
and the mental is a lot worse than the physical. You go heal from them bruises, but when somebody is demeaning you and just every day tearing you down, you trying your best to build yourself up, but they just keep tearing you down, calling you all kind of names, doing all kind of things that's not you. And I was listening to y'all show last week about the rape and all of this and this and that. I had that in my marriage. I understand the plight about being physically abused, but then when you have your spouse force themselves on you, that's a horrible thing.
Right.
I talk about that in my book. That was horrible. I had to go to work after that happened. Y'all, I can't even explain. I understand how a woman feels when she's been raped. And it's more deeper when it's an intimate partner like your spouse. It's just is. So it's deep. You have to get back. And at that point, that's when I started turning myself around and knowing that I had to get out. But after that incident, even with that, I still went back with him. I
Let,
did.
well, let me ask you this: did you hear a lot of apologizing? Like when you say you're
Yes.
gonna leave, was it a lot of apologizing?
Yes.
And was it a lot of I would never do that to you
Yes.
again? Give me another chance. I'm
Hmm.
changed.
Hmm.
What about, did you ever hear maybe we should go to counseling, or did you hear anything about that?
For myself, I suggested that
Okay.
we go to counseling.
Okay, and see, the reason why
Yeah.
I'm saying this is because I'm trying to navigate our way through this so
Yes.
that if someone out there who may see this, they may be going through that same experience
Right.
where they can hear from you
Yes.
and buy the book, and maybe they'll get some understanding of your
Exactly.
experience,
Hmm.
where it may help their experience, their situation as it stands.
Right.
And guys, and just, I guess, just for the plug, you can go. I believe you can go to Amazon as well and
Right.
pick up the book Total Deliverance.
Yes.
It's on Amazon. Maybe Miss Tina or Miss Lewis can say if there's anywhere else you can purchase the book, but you definitely can go on Amazon and purchase this book now. Maybe you're going through this. And we get it. We understand that there is a process.
It
There
is.
is a process that these individuals go through because of the abuse, physically and mentally, that's set on them, and there is a mental process because the mind has been broken down. so
Right.
badly. And then it depends on how deeply they've been into the relationship. You know,
Mhm.
some may, I love him. You know, I love him. I don't want to leave him. Well, he just so sexy, and he just,
Mm.
he works so hard, and and maybe it's just me. You know what I mean? You giving all of these excuses why you should
Exactly.
stay, but
Yep.
is that excuse worth your life? I mean,
It's
is it
not.
worth your life? And I digress just from that piece, and I'll go over to this piece where we're in a pandemic. You
Mhm.
know, we're in a pandemic now, and you're living next to each other, you're in the same room. Again, maybe the job is not going right. You need to release some frustration out. Or maybe she's saying some words to you that you just don't agree with. You will never be the right man. You ain't never do this. And you a lot because there is abuse on both sides.
Mhm.
It doesn't give you the reason to abuse anyone, but there is on both sides of the spectrum. It's just not always just one way, but
Yeah.
the mental still needs to be dealt with. You need to go see whether it's a counselor, whoever it is, psychiatrist. I don't know. You need to go
Mhm.
see somebody. You need to go get help, and don't release your anger out on that other individual, especially if you say that you love that person.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
If
So
I
if you're in the home, can we flash a number, an address up or something, or maybe somebody's home today, and they just stumble across their Facebook page, and they see this pod going on, and maybe here's a number that you can reach out to. It's some help, that you could, hey, start the process. We get it. Miss Lewis get it. We understand that it is a challenge where I have to start my life over again, and some people is actually afraid of starting over. You know what I mean? They actually afraid. Listen, there's people who are making $500,000 and they're abusing their wives. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And their wives are used to getting that type of money, and it's been who they are, and now to cut away from that, they don't know how. But you have to start somewhere, because that next blow could be your life. I mean, it could be. And do you want your children to see that? You know what I mean? Do you want your children to see that? So I'm reaching out, and I'm talking to those individuals that are home, that are and guys, I want to talk to the professionals in terms of, in this area, of what are some things that, as well as Miss Lewis, who is a spokesperson in this area, an advocate in this area, who've had a book, who have experienced this two times. What are some things that they could do? What can they do to either prevent this thing from happening, or in a way of how to get out of this situation? So I'm
so
saying to
I was
prevent
gonna
this thing. Okay, go ahead.
yep, I was just gonna add piggybacking off of Miss Tina's story was that we also have to remember too, with the physical part, right? That oftentimes victims can have trauma, brain injury,
Yep.
TBI, um, suffocation. So suffocation impacts the brain.
Mhm.
Um, so there's because of the chokeholds, right?
Mhm.
So you have those actual biological things, that you have to deal with as well, in terms of possibly, because we're not even going to talk about those that develop depression,
Yeah.
chronic depression, and we know that untreated depression leads to suicide. So
Mhm.
there's so many wounds, but I just wanted to include those TBI and suffocation injuries as well. But with that and moving towards what Tone was talking about, you are a soul tie specialist. So I want to kind of go back there, because regardless of where you are in terms of belief in soul ties and not being biblically, cemented in biblical scripture. And using that to define, what was going on with you. What are some of the ways that you, or what are some of the things that you did to break those soul ties?
Yeah, like I said, the first thing I had to do, I had to forgive. I had to forgive. And I had to start working on me, my self-worth again, because he took that, I allowed him to take that away from me. Therefore, he was like telling me who I was, and I knew that wasn't me. So that's how I began to turn my life back around and, you know, getting with like-minded people. I didn't go seek counseling, but I do suggest that people go get counseling because you need somebody you can talk to. I have, friends that I speak with, and they encourage me through the process. But it's a hard process. It's a lot of prayer, a lot of just spiritual talking with God and stuff that I do. I journal every morning. And I suggest anybody that's going through domestic violence, get you a journal. And somebody asked me this question, well, he could read your journal. Yeah, he could, because he read mine, but I still journal. I even talk about, I have the journals, which is fixing to be a book. I was going through putting them all in order, and I see one day that I did not journal, he journaled for me. He said, because I'm journaling my prayers to God, I'm speaking to God, and he said, God, this day, I upset her so bad that she could not even write her prayers to you. So he wrote them for me. So it's you can do it, you can break it, but it starts with you. You got to know this who you were before you allowed this person to come in your life and take your power back. You
That's
got to
right.
work yourself.
So let me ask you guys again: is there an exit strategy? Like what? How did you? Because we definitely want to make sure that in these type of podcasts that we have a solution, and because we're talking about something very serious, and maybe somebody's looking for an answer to get out of this situation. So I guess for me, my concern is, what is the exit strategy, or is there one?
Here's one. First of all, you got to do it safely. That's why it's so important to dial the hotline. There are resources, and y'all already put out the resources in your area. There are ways to do it. For me, the way I did it, because like I said, I was already being an advocate for domestic violence. I started planning my way out. And again, I stress you have to do it safely. I packed a bag. I hid it in the closet. Then I took it out of the closet because I was afraid he was going to find it. But I started making plans. You can pack a bag, give it to somebody that you know that has all your important things. If you got kids, your birth certificates, everything that you need. You have to start having that strategy. Okay, it's time for me to go. So you got. I say this in my book. When I left, I didn't do it right. I went to my sons. That's a no-no. Don't go to a family member. Don't go to a friend, because he will find you. Call the shelter. There are places that they can put you in safely that, most likely he won't find you. He knew where I worked. That was one of my fears, that he would find me on my job, but he never came. So it's just, you have to make this thing, do it the right way. Pack a bag. Tell somebody. You need to talk to somebody. Find somebody that you can trust, that has your best interest at hand, that's going to listen to what you're saying. I was watching, I was on, matter of fact, my job, I work at a major hospital here in Houston, Texas, and for domestic violence month, and this came out during this COVID-19 season. But before I say this, I want to say this. I understand how it is in the COVID-19 season, because even though when I was going through my abuse, y'all, it wasn't COVID, but it's the same scenario. I was with him 24 hours, 7 days a week. He was a truck driver. Everywhere he went, I went.
Oh.
I talk about when I would go get my hair done. He was sitting right there with me.
Wow.
So I understand how it is to be in this COVID-19 season that you cannot even breathe. I felt like a bird in a cage.
Wow.
That's how I felt.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I understand. So, but you have to do this thing safely. Talk to somebody, tell them what you're going through. But going back to my job, they sent this video about people that's like we're doing a lot of FaceTiming now. And they do this symbol about say, are you having a conversation with one of your friends? They already know what you're going through. So
Yeah.
he's sitting in the background. I'm going to see if I can kind of demonstrate it for you. So she calls her friend on FaceTime and they're talking about a recipe. So she was like, girl, I need that recipe. And so this is the sign. So she did this like this number with her hair. And then she did this. She put her hand up. She did this. And she did this. That's the sign. I need help. Call 911. Get
Wow.
somebody over here.
Wow.
That's why
Wow.
she's calling you. See, you can't call for help because he's watching everything that you do. You're not gonna get on that phone without him looking to see who you're talking to, who you talking to on Facebook. But it has to be a strategy that you have to put in place for you. For me, I talk about in my book, my best friend. She gave me a key. I had a key to her apartment. You can go anytime because she was barely there. You can go. I just go. You got to have people like that in your life that you can trust with it. They're not tied to him because sometimes people will go back and tell. You got to have somebody that you can trust.
Let me ask you this: how did you have time to talk to anybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy is beside you. I mean, you guys truck driving. Oh my God! I mean, you did like you said,
I
didn't have any
didn't.
room to breathe. How did you find the time to even talk to anybody?
Well, when I did, it was kind of short. I talk
Yeah.
about it in the book. One of my good friends, Sandra, I think that's what I call her in the book. She called me on the road, and her sister, which I don't even know, she had this intuition about me. And she was just checking on me. And that's another thing. Check on your friends. If you see they're in a relationship, they're not calling you no more. They're not talking to you more. I had people that would check on me, but my conversations were short and
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
I couldn't really say too much of anything because he was, like I said, he was always right there with me.
Now, let me ask you
Yes.
this: in the book, do the book talk about exiting strategies, or does it talk about? It talked about the codes, and I thought that was pretty slick
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the code and the hand and all. That was pretty good. Does the book talk about anything in that area?
No, it doesn't. I just tell what I did, my exit
Okay.
strategy, how I
Okay.
did what I did to get out of there.
Okay.
And
Well, no,
that's
that's good. That's good. Guys, listen, I want you to go and buy the book. I want you to go purchase the book, go to Amazon and get this book. It's up on the screen, Total Deliverance, a survivor story. And again, this is a survivor story. I definitely want you to reach out to purchase this book, but also call those hotlines as
yeah,
well. For that support system, because one of the things that I think that I'm hearing and from my experience in moving around these individuals that was dealing with domestic violence, they had to have a strong support system,
yes,
and that makes a big difference, a strong, so that they know that they're loved even outside
exactly.
of their home, so that they can exit it out of that bad situation. And guys, listen, go get the book. You know, we're going to have to end the pod like this. We thank
Thank you.
Miss Lewis for her book. We thank you for the book,
You're welcome.
and we believe that this book is going to definitely be a blessing to those who receive it. Her testimony, pretty much,
Yes,
her testimony, and how God delivered her out of these bad situations. And Miss Lewis, we thank
Thank you
you
so much.
no,
so
thank
much
you
for
guys for having
coming
me
to the
on.
pod.
Yes,
And yeah, so yeah, and we want to stay in contact with you and
definitely.
help
Yes.
promote the book constantly just kicking it, because I think this book is necessary, especially in this time. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Now, I mean, yeah. So yeah, yes, that's the
yeah.
thing. I know we got to get on to this next conversation. But God bless you,
Thank you.
and we thank you. What's the temperature down there in Texas?
Right now it's about 70, 75.
See, we jealous
Oh
down
my
here. You
goodness.
know we jealous down here,
I
right?
Come
We
know.
on
jealous.
now, come
We
on.
putting on winter coats down
Yes,
here.
I
I
got
know,
my winter coat.
and,
I know.
and we even probably pulling out your boots, you know,
Yeah,
down here, and you in them 70 degrees. We jealous, you know, we
yeah.
jealous. I'm jealous down here anyway. So yeah.
Well,
Is it
thank.
raining down there or anything?
No, we got a little cold front coming through, but it's sunshiny.
Which our
Oh
cold
Yeah,
wow.
front probably gonna be what, 60 degrees?
something like that.
Okay.
So yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, but I
All
All right,
right,
thank you
Miss
awesome. We'll
Lewis,
guys.
see you.
we thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming out. We're gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and move to the next topic,
All right,
and we
Yeah, we'll be talking to you,
we'll be
okay?
talking to you.
definitely, absolutely. Thank you
All
guys.
right.
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
thank you
See
so
you.
much. All
You're
right,
welcome.
All
Have a
right.
good
all right.
one. Thanks
You're
for sharing your
welcome.
story.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, listen, we're going to go into our next topic, and this one is definitely is something that we know that's needed to be talked, at least on this podcast, in terms of the election. We know that, I wish we had a video to play, but I didn't think about playing a video in terms of the transitioning into this next topic. But guys, we know that the election is over. The election is over.
Is
At
it
least,
really over? No,
well,
it's
at
kidding.
least we think that it's over.
Right.
And we know that the electoral votes had come in. We know that Biden has reached over the 270, and the amount of electoral votes that he would need to win to be president elect. And Donald Trump hasn't reached those numbers. And we understand that there has been lawsuits put in to different areas in different states concerning this matter. So he doesn't want to concede to Joe Biden in terms of this election here. Because of the lawsuit, he just don't want to give it up. I mean, and here's the thing: he does have a legal right to that. I mean, it's just part of the system. Whether it matters or not, I guess we will see if it does matter or not. And there's been people who've saying, in terms of in the biblical sense, they say, well, the Lord has told me that it doesn't matter. Donald Trump is still going to be the president of this nation. We have, is it Pompey? I don't know, what's his name? Secretary of State. He believed that when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to be president regardless. Hey guys, listen, how do we move forward from here? Again, I don't want to get it twisted to our next conversation that we have next week. That's a different one. It's about the healing. So we're not talking about healing. We're saying that where do we go from here in terms of this election? And guys, so
Winter is coming.
yeah. So how did you feel? How did you guys? What was your feeling when you finally heard or seen what the media said about Donald Trump or Joe Biden being the next next president, rather? I'm talking to you guys.
How do we feel about?
Your next president becoming president.
I mean, I think I disclosed it in our previous podcast. I was very elated, and not so much for Biden, but I mean, the vice president. You know, um, I think it was historic. Another historic moment that I certainly didn't want to get lost in the shuffle. As far as Biden winning, I'm glad because I feel like he will pick a cabinet or at least back some of the um, policies that I would like to see happen. Now whether or not it goes through, of course, he's one man, So his one decision doesn't make it happen. However, to know that, he's at the helm and he shares some of the same ideas, or, deems certain things of higher value that match mine, then I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to it.
What about you, RW3?
Um, in terms of the moving, you know, past it,
No,
um,
how did you feel? How did you feel when you heard that Joe Biden pretty much, I mean, from far as the media, far as the electoral votes, that he is the president-elect? How did that make you feel?
this is not a feeling, but I felt some relief. Um, you know, that I will have to be subjected to, because my email is still AOL. So every time I hit AOL, the first two or three is Trump tweet, like being inundated with all that nonsense. I'm just relieved that I could pull up my email and not the president is not every single day, 3 or 4 times a day. Every time I look at TV, president is saying something or something about the president. It's just the whole energy surrounding this president. I just feel relieved that I don't have to deal with that in terms of my government that I'm paying taxes into. So it's a lot of relief for me.
Okay. So now, where do we go from here? And this is not me doing an interview. We're just having a conversation.
Right.
Where do we go from here now that this president? And I believe that after all of the fighting calms down, that somebody's going to have to be president. Somebody's going to have to be president. Obviously, obviously, the rules are whoever gets the electoral the most votes win president the seat. Obviously, it's been kicked back from that happening. So even though we don't really know what's going on, but we do know to some degree in terms of electoral votes, where do you think we should go from here? Where do we go from here? From this point
Well, like you said, we don't want to delve into the topic for next week, which is healing. But I guess acceptance. That's where we go from here. Um, there's a reluctance for 45 to accept what's going on, and us being fair kids in the same sandbox, if you will. Then yes, you're right. He has a legal right to have these recounts and whatever. So yeah, okay, if that's what his followers need in order for them to feel like it was a fair process, then okay, let's give them that, so we can get through this and keep it moving.
I think I don't realistically, and please, I don't know what to say. But blunt, people that follow him, I think the term I use is a willful ignorance. And it's difficult to come together and move in a positive way when people are just on purpose being stupid and ignorant when it comes to him. So it's going to be difficult, and I really don't know how unless people begin to realistically look at things for themselves as opposed to just like in the church. I can listen to a pastor, but I'm not going to blindly, I'm going to look at the Bible. You can say it, but what scripture are you talking about? I'm not just going to listen to the pastor, oh yeah, without looking at what the Bible is saying. So my same thing with him, he's saying it's rigged, and people are following that without even, like in Pennsylvania, like, they have closed circuit TV, but everybody in the state can turn on their TV and just watch the process on TV. And all of the people they tried to say, oh, okay, we can start counting early. The Republican legislature said no, they ignored it. So now they count afterwards. And it's all legal. And they have the cameras, everybody was looking at it. They have both parties observing, but the followers don't, they didn't, they don't, they're not looking at that. They're not looking at that. They could have themselves turned on closed circuit TV and looked. They don't know that there were a Republican and a Democrat standing there where in Michigan it started 10 feet back. They went to court because of COVID. They said they let them come up to 6 feet. So it was a Republican and a Democratic observer 6 feet away while they was doing this voting
No, we
in the
get it.
TFC Center.
Now, okay, so now you used the word. What was that word you used? That they're
Willful ignorance.
okay, ignorant. Okay, so meaning they don't really have a clear understanding, because that's really what it means. They don't have a
On purpose.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do have an understanding. Is it ignorance? Is it that? Is it really that in terms of the definition that you're using? Is it really that if they're there and don't want this man to become president for whatever reason that they have, to say that I don't believe that this man can take this presidency to where we need it to go? So is it them not having an understanding, or it's just they don't want this man in office because of whatever their reasons are? Like they know that fracking is down the drain. If you know what fracking is, they understand that the Second Amendment is going to be challenged in terms of bearing arms. They know that at the same time that gay marriage is going to be pushed more so. They know that homosexuality and abortion is going to be pushed more. They also know that school choice is off the ballot now. They also know. I mean, so it's many of reasons that they can say that this is why I want to make sure, even if they deal with cognitive dissonance in terms of they know what the problem is, but they still don't want to accept it in terms of this man being in office. They also understand that this man wants to turn this state from what they say to more of a socialist, not state, but a socialist country. Now, with Kamala Harris, whatever, Miss Harris, Kamala Harris, in the same way, share those same views, who actually shared more of those views than even Joe Biden as a socialist. So is it them that's actually standing more so to say, we feel that if he's coming to office, he's bringing evil into our White House, and we don't want from a Christian perspective, these people that are here, a lot of them are Christians who believe that this man is bringing evil into our office, and we just don't want to accept that. So which one is it?
Let me, because I want to deal with, now you just brought up issues, so I want to set that aside for 1 second.
Right.
When I say willful ignorance, like if I'm gonna go to the Bible there, if I'm in the church and a guy says, the pastor says, hey, Jesus is not coming back. That's a fraud. He's not coming back, right? And the pastor says that. And if I know I have a resource to debunk that, which is the Bible, and I choose not to read the Bible because the Bible says he's coming back, and say I just choose not to read it, that's willful ignorance, because I have a resource to debunk what you're saying. So when I say Trump, like I'm just talking about the election, he said it's a fraud. But it's a fact that it's not. And they can actually find the information, look at the laws in the state, all the things, and not agree with the fact that he says it's a fraud, it was rigged, which it was not. Because think about it, because what he's saying is, when you get a ballot, he said the presidential thing was rigged. That means everything was rigged, because you have the president at the top, all these, because there are some people that are independents that voted for Biden, but down ballot, they voted for some Republicans, right?
Right.
So that
Right.
means that some of those Republicans that got voted for from independents that got put in office, that means that's a fraud too. So we accept in the states that he won in, or we accept the down ballot with the House getting more seats, but we say the presidency is a fraud. But you're willfully ignorant if you don't know that. I mean,
Well,
if you just
are
listen to
they?
what he's saying.
But
Like
not
what I
are
said
Well,
they?
is,
and
But are they?
go ahead.
Because the simple fact that they still, by law, have the right to recount those ballots up into, I believe, November the 23rd or the 17th. That's legal. They
Oh, well,
have
I
the
agree
right,
with
and
right.
that.
that's what I was saying earlier is that
Mhm.
you know, the next step is acceptance. So, you know, again, if the Biden side, if you will, if they have to make a concession, if you will, and say, okay, go ahead with your process because you do have a legal right to do that. We'll wait.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That then let that be, you know, because that's a concession on their side. That's a part of the accepting of what's about to happen. But on the Trump side, if you will, after that, they need to be ready to let it go
Right.
because both parties have to believe in the bigger system, which is democracy, and let it work how it's supposed to. That just means that Republicans have to come up with a different strategy. One of the news broadcasters who was commenting made a point. If you look at the numbers, like RW3 was saying, you'll see that America does like tend to lean towards conservative values because a lot of these senators ended up being Republican. I'm not sure what the House is looking like. So that was his
Republican.
argument. It's just they were ready for different leadership, a different person at the helm. So we'll have to we'll have to see, but we have to believe in the process and let it do its thing on both sides, in order to accept what's about to happen and move forward.
Now you know that they have arrested a black guy for holding ballots in his car, a male guy. You do know that, don't you? They arrested a young man who had ballots in the car that was Donald Trump's name on it, and he said that when he went to the post office, and it would be a brother. That's one thing I hate. But when they arrested him, no, when they looked into his car, they seen mail. He said it was his parents and his mail. And when they looked deeper in it, it was ballots. I don't know how many. I don't think it was a lot. But there were ballots in the car that this man had that had Donald Trump's name on it. You can Google that now because I've seen it came over my phone, and this guy was a male guy. So yeah, see, here's the thing, and I know, lady, you want to talk. It's not, I don't know if I believe that there is a fraud. Now, on what level of it is that's the question. But I do believe that and then they talked about a couple of machines that wasn't. I don't know if for some reason it wasn't giving him the votes that he should have had. There were some machines. I think it was in I don't know Pennsylvania was one of them. So there have been things that has been happening. Now, is it enough for him still to become president? They say no, but we'll see. But then, like I heard an article. I've seen this article. It was an interview where they were saying that a lot of people don't really understand electoral votes, and they were saying that really now, this is what they said in the article, that that the electoral votes really, those senators or whoever who's supposed to vote on it really don't vote until December 8th. So they was like, well, how can they say that these people become president then? He said they always do that because the system has always worked that way. But actually, there has to be another vote that has to go, and it doesn't go until December 8th in terms of the electoral votes. So, and that's what my man was saying. I think it was on the 700 Club, and they were talking about the actual how deep this thing really goes. We just don't hear about it, and he was saying, well, we think that we have the control because of our voting rights, but we really don't. They just don't push that out. Now a lot of stuff is coming out because of Donald Trump wanting to push this thing further to actually take the scales off the eyes of this situation. So he was saying that it really goes to December 8th for the electoral votes to be voted on, and they can actually change and say, well, they don't want to do that. They want to put Donald Trump in office if they really wanted to. So now, I mean, I don't know. That's what they were saying. I guess you hear so much stuff now that this has come out. But I'm gonna tell you this, Lady B, go ahead and go into what we're talking about, because we're talking about a dark winter, and this is what Joe Biden has said. Joe Biden had talked about a dark winter, and we're going to get into this, how deep this thing is, but because this is what I think. You know, I have no dog in this race. Let me say with confidence, I didn't vote. I'm going to say this with confidence. I did not vote for either one of them because they're both evil. And like everybody from the people from my platform have said the same thing, they're both actors on the same team for the same common goal, and that is I don't want to use the term, I'll say dark winter. And we have to come out and start as a community to wake up to really what's going on. So I want to show this video, and we'll talk about this. Let's play this video. And this is your boy making this claim on the dark winter.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What
Can we turn it up?
to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter, and he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be.
Okay, let's stop it right there. Let's go to another video. We're looking at the word dark winter. Now we're going to go into something else. Whatever you got a correspondent, I don't know the videos that you about to play.
It should be another one that it should have been.
Now, I want you to keep in mind the word dark winter. Now, this is the Democratic Party who have used this terminology, dark winter, and so there's websites that actually talk about that terminology because this actually exists, a dark winter. So now, a matter of fact, if you can't show the video real quickly, I got to get to these videos to play. Let's play that famous dark winter video, the video that's out now, Jasmine. Do you have anything prepped?
On June 22nd, 2001, the United States government began
And let us know if you guys can hear it.
Operation Dark Winter was not a war game. Instead, it was something more unusual. Dark Winter was a germ game. In 2001, the U.S. military, government, and media launched a mock battle against pathology. The premise was simple. A bioterror organization released a deadly virus into the country, and smallpox is spreading quickly. The U.S. government must now react to contain the outbreak and stop further harm. How did we do? The results were disastrous. Within 48 hours, the government failed its objectives. The loss of human life was high, and when Operation Dark Winter ended 3 days later, a summary of recommendations were given to implement across different levels of government to better prepare in case of a future dark winter. But a dark winter never came. Instead, 4 months later, 9/11 struck the United States with a different type of fear, and the government and our focus shifted away from home to land conflicts in Iraq and Islamic terrorism abroad. The dark winter wasn't the last germ game.
Okay, we still showing that now. It's a whole lot of different information because there's so much information out here about the dark winter. And if you understand about the SARS, remember we talked about the SARS and how they needed to have a vaccination that would cover the whole world in terms of them getting this to be vaccinated because of the SARS that happened. And it's like there's going to be a repeat of this vaccinated. If everybody being vaccinated, whether you want to or not, they starting it off. We're saying that right now they just said through the airlines that that they're looking that in order for you to get on the plane, they're not saying that it's passed now, but they're trying to push it forth where everybody have to have a medical pass. They have to have a pass, a health pass, in order to get on the plane, which means they will have to be vaccinated, as well as Ticketmaster said the same thing, that they were looking at following the same suit, that you have to either show that you don't have that virus, or at the same time, you have to show that you have gotten vaccinated. Now that was through Ticketmaster. That was through the airlines are saying that now about there's gonna be a requirement that you show that. We got plenty more videos that we need to show. But here's the thing: I want to show, and I'm showing these videos for a reason. And I want you to tell me, do you see any similarities? Jasmine, put up the video game Shelter Unit. Shelter Unit. Go to that and click on that and put that into. I want you guys to see a video game that was put out in 2011, and I want you to tell me if you see any similarities in this video that we about to play. So what are we getting at? We're talking about this so-called terminology that was used called the dark winter, and we're asking, where do we go from here? Like, what do we go from here? Because there is actually changes that's going to be made that we're going to all see. It's not going to be a conspiracy theory as we use that terminology. We throw that word roughly around like we use the word love. That so it don't really hold any power.
So it's a scientist,
Just read it.
Dr. Michael Osterholm. He told Biden that that we really need to do this to get pandemic under control. He wants to shut down everything, the country, for 4 to 6 weeks. So that's what he's been pushing to Biden, and he's a scientist. So
and Joe Biden, as you just heard, he said he wants to go by science. He wants to put the trust in the science. But now here's what the dark winter deals with in terms of the shutdown. That's part of the dark winter. Listen, you can go. We're going to put some links up there. We're going to give you guys links that we've already looked. These are prominent. These are from universities that actually talk about the dark winter. These are things. It's not a conspiracy theory. Ooh, it's not that anymore. It's something that people are putting. Now, have you guys ever heard of the word the reset? Have anybody heard of the Great Reset?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so there's so much.
Jazzy got another video.
Okay, Jazz, we
One
waiting
that I
on
had
videos that you haven't
real
put up
quick.
yet.
Go ahead and play that one real quick.
Terror attack in the continental United States. The operation was called Dark Winter. Within just a few days, the simulation spiraled out of control. The operation predicted a rapid breakdown in essential institutions, civil disorder, and massive civilian casualties. Dark Winter has revealed how vulnerable we've become. Our lifestyle, our security, our safety depends on a delicate and unstable economy. We've created a system so complicated that we no longer understand how to control it. Oil, power, shipping, transport. We live in a complex world. And the more complex it gets, the more fragile it becomes. The system is built on a global supply chain that gets things where they're needed, just in time. We've created a house of cards. Remove just one, and everything falls apart. And what's fueling the system?
Money. Americans can spend $90 billion in a single day of shopping. Last year, 200 million people swarmed their local stores on November 23rd. We call that day Black Friday. Did you know that a flu virus can survive on the surface of a banknote for up to 17 days? One day there will be a pandemic. It could begin during the crush of Black Friday sales. A pathogen will jump from tainted banknotes to human skin, onto food, toys, children, and loved ones. By the time patient zero feels the first sore throat, millions of people will already be infected. From this point, the breakdown will happen fast.
Day 1. Hospitals will reach capacity. Panic will strike. Day 2. Quarantine zones will be established. Resources will be rationed. Transport will go into lockdown. Day 3. International trade will stop. The oil will dry up. The stock market will collapse. Day 4. The power will fail. The shelves will be empty. The taps will run dry. And once hunger and despair take hold, people will do anything for survival. By day 5, everyone will be a potential threat.
In 2007, a new presidential directive was signed quietly into law. This maps out the government's response to a crisis, a plan to cope with a real dark winter. It is known as Directive 51. There are rumors of shadow agencies, sleeper cells, covert agents, but nothing can be confirmed.
Our complex world is primed for breakdown.
And once the chaos strikes,
there won't be resources to save us all.
The only question left is,
what are we trying to say? What are we saying? We're not, what we're saying is that this election, and again, let me make this clear. I have no dog in the race. I have no dog in this race. But what I am telling you is that I think that it's more than meets the eye. Now, here's the thing. If he's president, I think it's because he's supposed to be president to continue on to what's going on in this country. I don't have any dog in this race. All I'm telling you is that
It's a deeper plan.
It's a deeper plan for this country. We're not going back to the way that it used to be. They call it the Great Reset. Now, here's the thing. I really want you guys, in your own mind, just do your own research so that it won't look like I'm trying to persuade. Do your own, because there's plenty of information out there on the Great Reset. There are the forms, government, the United Nations. Everybody is talking about the Great Reset and COVID-19 because they're and the pandemic. They're talking about how this is not going back to the way that it used to be, and it's going to be more devastating than what it was. And these people are playing a part of this. Your so-called presidents are playing a part of this. It's a game to them. And this thing is to, why do you think there's so much chaos that's going on with this election? Why do you think it's so? Now, here's the thing, it's just my perspective. Yeah, and I get it. We think everything it leads up to conspiracy. But I guess it's going to have to take it to actually happen before we believe that this is not a conspiracy. This global warming, and all of these things that's going on, they want to change that. And guess what? They have already said, pull the videos up. Just look up the word Great Reset. It's so much that I want to show, but Jasmine, you're not even doing it quick enough. I want you to go to Shelter Unit, and I want you to put this video up. Get that link and the hyperlink and put it up so we can show this real quick. Guys, if you guys got any thing to say, we welcome you to say it. But all we're just trying to show you is that they want us, and when I mean they, I mean the people who is believing in this Great Reset. This is what they want us to do. They want us to only focus on a president. And listen, here's the thing. I've never, ever in my life seen so much emotion and couldn't understand why. I couldn't understand. It was people actually on TV that were crying. I didn't get it. My mindset, my thinking was like, black people been through so much. We've been through slavery. We've been through the Jim Crow laws. We've been through people being shot dead on the street. And you mean to tell me the change of presidency break you down in tears? We've been through so much. what am I saying? Is this is what they want us to do. They want us to get so caught up in this election where we don't see what's going on behind the scene. What they want to do with the people in this world, in this whole world. Great Reset. Please, if you guys get a chance, pull up the Great Reset. Jasmine, do we have anything for you to show anything yet? Okay, go ahead and show it. I want you guys to focus on the Great Reset. Do your research because we don't have enough time in this pod for me to pull it up. But please, I beg you, pull up the great and listen. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. And you know a lot of forums are saying everybody who voted in this election, they voted for a new world order and don't even realize it. Because that's where this world is going to. You actually voted in a new world order because I'll let you guys. But anyway, there's a forum that you can go to. I'm going to give you something now. It's called the World Economic Forum. And you can read their mission. It talks about helping one another. But but look, who I want you to look at is the president, who's over this this forum where they're talking about the Great Reset, and it's called, and then they have one called the World Economic Forum, and these are forums now that's taking place. While we fight over the president, these are forums that's taking place right now, and they're talking about the Great Reset. But guess what? Joe Biden was for it and Donald Trump wasn't. He wasn't for it. He didn't even want our country to connect to this new world order government, but Joe Biden was for it. Now listen, again, I don't have a dog in this race because he's just as no good as the next guy, and I can throw things on Donald Trump as well. But what I want you to focus in is that they need Joe Biden in office because of this Great Reset that he's for. Because he's for socialism to the fullest degree. And it's going to take this country. Listen, why do you think we need to go into another? Do you think that is about the pandemic, or do you really believe it's about job crashing purposely? Economy, because they want to listen. These are all out. All you need to do is just do the research, type your little fingers on the keypad, and do the research yourself. Don't take my advice. In fact, I'm telling you now, don't even listen. Listen to me because we're having a podcast, obviously, but don't accept what I'm saying. You do the research. You do the research and you see for yourself what is the real agenda behind this presidency that was such a chaos and such craziness that had to happen for this president to be our new president. Going and listen, they're not even making this a secret. It's not a secret anymore. So if you believe that this is a conspiracy, God bless you. I don't know what to say when these people are actually talking.
Well, I think that because I was looking at one of the shows and they had one of the senators on there, and he was Republican, and even he said, to close the businesses down with no, government relief, basically would have very bad consequences. So, and I think that people understand that. I also think that people can understand how COVID-19, with current methods, is just still too dangerous. So I think the key in moving forward is that they're going to have to figure out how to do both. They're going to have to come up with a stimulus package that's robust enough to get us through this dark winter. Because if we continue to, we already see it here in Michigan. We already see it. Schools that thought they could get away with doing bringing the kids back, or even in some cases a hybrid, is still not enough. They have to go back to all remote. They're shutting down public buildings to the public. You can't come in without an appointment because COVID numbers are on it. So even if there was a quarantine, I don't think that's a bad thing. But I think that they also have to think about how are they going to help America financially, prevent or at least soften the blow of the economic downfall that we're about to experience.
But do you understand?
Unless they're putting their money in the
No,
vaccine. Now, if they're putting their money in the vaccine and they think everybody gonna get it and all will be well by the summertime, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
This is where the Great Reset would come into crash, because everybody's going to be dependent on the government.
Exactly.
So, you know.
See, that's the purpose of the Great Reset. The Great Reset, listen, all you need to do is just do your study and look at the Great Reset. But the Great Reset is resetting back the world. In other words, what they needed, they trying to take control over the economy, crash the economy. Listen, crash this economy, where it don't go back to the same, where the reliance now is not on you independent. It's a socialist world now, where it's not a capitalist world. It's that capitalists wouldn't even exist anymore. It would be your dependency.
We did that with the motor companies in 08. We did that with the motor companies. The government gave them a bailout, and they didn't turn into a socialist.
We talking about the world, not like just one.
Right? No, I understand. That's what I'm saying, though. Like history has shown us. History has shown us. 1935, Social Security. I mean,
what are you saying?
Things throughout history have shown us that government can intervene on a national level and it not go to a socialist regime for days to come. They are there as they are the safety net to prevent us from crashing. They're the safety net, not not the takeover.
Yes, and there you go. It's about takeover. That's what the reset is. It's about takeover. Listen, all you have to do is please start looking at these forms, and you're going to see that the storyline that we believe is not the storyline that they're doing. They're not. This is a new government that they're implementing in, and guess what? Okay, so some things I got to hold back on saying certain words. You just got to do the research. You have to do the research. In other words, do this. Pretend like you don't know anything. Put aside your logical reasoning to how things need to go. Like, just take that away from you and then go into this doing the research as though you're trying to find out what's going on, so that you can see exactly what these people are doing now. And it was through the pandemic that they will use this system in terms of to take control of a bigger picture. And that's what's going on right now. Listen,
because they said in 2001 we put the thing up where they said they were going to put the smallpox out, so they can see if people will become immune to it or whatever. So I mean, we don't know what's going on. That's all I'm saying.
We do know what's going on.
We know what's going on, but
how come I don't see any links up yet?
You can't say anything until you guys stop talking. It's going to stop your talking from actually.
Oh, it don't matter. I don't care about it stopping the talking. Go ahead and push it. Now, I want you to see this video.
Following a disputed election and a tie vote,
now this is a video game that came out in 2011.
President in U.S. history as David.
Play it back, Jazzy. Push it back because I started
talking. 44th President of the United States.
Stop. Pause it real quick. Pause it. Now tell me, look for similarities. That's all I want you to do. Don't look at the whole video, because it's just gonna, if you don't believe now, this really just gonna tear you apart. So, but look at some similarities at the beginning and tell me, what do you think of something that was done in 2011? Now go ahead and play it again.
And a tie vote. The U.S. Congress installs the most unpopular president in U.S. history as David Jefferson Adams becomes the 44th President of the United States. Shortly after the election, increased unrest, rioting, and a growing number of militias have given rise to ever-increasing domestic terrorism. In response, the president invokes the Homeland Security Act and declares martial law on the West Coast and other areas of the country. Though highly contested, a Supreme Court ruling sidesteps the electoral process, disqualifying popular presidential candidates from several states. Public outrage explodes when a sham election leads to incumbent David Adams accepting a second term in office. During the 57th Inauguration Day ceremonies, Washington, D.C. is struck by a low-yield nuclear weapon, killing David Adams
Now
and most
go
of
ahead
the
and
US
stop it
Congress.
right there, because now it's going to go to different areas, and I believe this video have a lot to do with futuristic stuff, but you got to do your research in this area. But what I want to find out is what he saying?
He said that's, what's it, and the creation of disinformation is to help with confusion.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What I want to share with you. Notice in the beginning he talked about a president who was that was not liked. This president wasn't liked, and you seen it. Just you can Google that and just look at the video. Now I want to show one more video. It's called Songbird. Please put this video up. Now let me talk about this video. The Songbird video was put out. Listen, during the COVID-19, look what they did. LA, Michael Bay, was it Bay? Michael Bay, director, he put out a movie during the pandemic when things were shut down. This man was the only person that were able to allowed to put out this movie during the pandemic. Nobody else was in production but him. And look at the movie that he puts out. And you tell me, why would you put out this movie? Guys, I want you to see this because I'm trying to show you the signs of similarities of what's going on now. Now this man again, and he shoot this movie in 17 days. He put this movie out in 17 days. And I want you guys to see this movie. Again, go ahead and post it. It's a trailer.
Good morning, Miss Garcia.
Good morning, fine. I miss you. Miss you right now.
Someday.
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown.
A grim new reality emerges.
COVID-23 has mutated.
Beginning thermal scan. Thermal scan normal.
A horrifying new development
New
today.
data confirms the virus attacks the brain tissue.
Whoa! I'm immune! I'm immune!
Worldwide death toll rises to over 110 million.
All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps. Sarah, what's going on?
Department of Sanitation. Sarah, talk to me. There'll be much security if you just open the door. Mrs. Grant, we got visitor.
Sarah, do not open that door.
Beginning thermal scan. 3, 2, 1. Anomaly detected. Armed guards will be arriving in 4 to 6 hours. You must not attempt to leave your home, or you will be shot on sight.
This is my message to you.
I know you're in there.
They're coming. I have to let you go.
No. Sarah! Sarah!
Say goodbye to me.
Sarah, I'm not letting you give up.
This is my message to you.
Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to survive.
I'm trying to save the one person left in my life that matters to me.
I can't help you. What you're talking about is illegal.
Okay, cut it. So you can cut the video from right there. So what is that? I don't know if you understand what the movie is about. The movie is about this mutation that has taken place. It's called COVID-23. And 8 million people have died. They have locked everybody down and put them in quarantine. And you can't, if you are being detected of having this COVID-23, you can't leave your home. If you leave your home, you will be shot on sight. Now, why would you think about this. Why would you put this movie out? Now, do me a favor. If you want to look up when was this movie put out, and it's going to give you what happened. It was done in LA during the COVID when everything was shut down. It said this is the first movie that they put in production. Why would you do that? And everything is similar to what's going on right now. Why do we need to see a movie about something like that? And that was the only movie or the first movie that they will put in production in LA. Is that coincidence? I mean, why would they do that? And then they said that they still practice social distancing. They put people in zones, meaning different areas, and then they shot the video. They was allowed to shoot the movie, and this was the first one that they will put out. What is the signs? Have you ever heard of what is that called? Predictive programming. Have anybody ever heard of the word called predictive programming?
Mm-hmm.
If you know what predictive programming is, you see it around you. Pretty much all the time. You know what I mean? And what this is predictive programming from the movies that you just seen, from the video games that you just seen. They're telling you what they're going to do. Now, listen. You can talk this up as conspiracy theory all you want, but here's the thing. I've always said, time is its best truth. Time is its best truth. You can never get away from time. Yeah, listen, do we want this to happen? No. God knows. No, obviously we don't. I don't. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't want this to happen. But I'm saying is time is its best key. And all I'm telling you is this is a bigger picture than you think. And this is just my opinion in terms of this is the bigger picture than you think. And the signs are out there. All you have to do is do the research from political leaders who are talking about this. And it's just not just some weird music or some weird video that's been playing about the reset.
Let me ask you a question. When from your research so far, I haven't started yet. When is all this supposed to happen and take place? This year?
It's happening
2021?
now.
I mean, in terms of the total fruition of it all, when is it supposed to fully manifest itself? By when?
2030 is the mandate. 2030 is the mandate in terms of the what is that? The New World. What is that site called? What is the main site? The global. The UN. United Nations is 2030 is where they want to be. Where that's the goal.
But it's all gonna work its way up. Why, things gonna be unfolding.
Right. She said they're dumb. Who said this? They're dumbing us down and fast. And that's a true statement. What is this? Come on, somebody help me with these comments.
This is good content, very informative.
And what's going on is that you don't have to listen. You don't have to believe this. Nobody's saying believe this. We're just saying that all you have to do is just do your own research. That's all I'm asking anybody to do. Don't even take what I'm saying as face value. Don't. Just do your own research because guess what? They're not hiding this anymore. Yeah, this is not.
So your original question was, how do we move forward?
Well,
so are you?
Well, we keep it. It's still a podcast. You know what I mean? Trying to keep it.
Yeah, no,
we get
but
a lot
saying,
of comments, and I thank God. For people who think that this is informative, we have plenty more links to show. Even in Simpsons, they show predictive programming about what's going on. There's plenty of videos that's out there that they're actually showing you what's going on. So,
I think Hollywood is very good at taking things that are based on true events and sensationalizing it. I don't think anybody they knew about the virus in China before it even came here. They already had some idea because it was reaching other countries before it even really just blew up here. So I think there was some ability based on what was already happening and historical facts and trends, like I say, to pull something together based on true events and incidents, but then sensationalize it. I think the best thing that I've heard you say for me is that time is the best is the best indicator. And in time, we'll definitely see, but I don't think I mean, when you introduce this idea, like RW3 asked, like when is it supposed to come to fruition? So how do we move forward? If how do we prepare for this reset or this new world order, or how do we move forward with that?
Well, see, here's the thing. Predictive programming is out there. They're showing you. And so, what's the statement? Who's somebody? Can somebody
It
read it?
said, read the predictive book called Behold the Pale Horse.
Hey, thank you. There's plenty of books out there that you can read. And saying that.
To what others have to say. Yeah, most people don't pay attention, and they would rather listen to what others have to say.
That's right. Pay attention. Before we go to, there's another book out. It's from the same president of the forum who wants the Great Reset, and he's, guess what? He's partner up. I ain't even gonna say it. But okay, I'll say this. This is the name of the book that he puts out. It's called COVID-19: The Great Reset. Now, this is the guy from the forum of the from the World Economic Forum, and just go on their mission statement and read what they're trying to do. They want to change the economic. They try, and as well as you, they want to reset everything. But here's the thing: there's a book out called "The COVID-19: The Great Reset." So now that book comes from the president. This is not some author who just want to write a book and he's putting it out there from his own understanding. No, this guy is the one who helps change or help with policies. And he's from the World Economic Forum. And you just go on there and read their mission statement. They want to change everything. They don't want this world to be the same anymore. See, I get it. We don't want to get it. I get it. I understand. We think this is a Star Wars movie. You know, I get it. I understand.
You're actually like, I pulled it up, like, of what you're saying. You're right about that economic forum. You're absolutely right. There's multiple heads of all over the world, these MasterCard, these companies. So what you're saying is absolutely correct. And they do want to do things differently. So you're correct about that.
So, but in saying that, I'm saying that this has everything to do with this election.
And that's why I got to research more, because seeing what they're saying, I got to research more to see the connection between what they're saying and Biden or Trump, whoever.
Well, here's the thing: you have the United Nations, even Obama. If you go to the world forums where they have these meetings, they all go there and they talk about the one world government. That's what it is. They're all talking about how we have to help each other, and this is the forum that they're trying to bring together. But guess what? They know United States is not going to do anything. Listen, we're a land of the free. But we won't just bow down like other nations would that has already been in their government has controlled them. But this country is a different country, so they have to use a different tactic to come towards this to get you to bow down. They know right now they're to come to you, people just not going to do it. But guess what? If they instill fear in you, you'll change your mind. That's what's going on with the COVID. Now, we know COVID is real. I know people who's passed away. But listen, I can say this. There's an old saying that presidents aren't elected, they're selected. You just don't get it. Presidents aren't elected, they're selected for whatever move that they need to go into, because it's his time now to take on the mantle, so to speak. He has to finish what's going on to America. The economic system is going to collapse. Whether you want to believe it or not, I get it. We don't want to let go of that old dog. We don't want. We don't
want to be sitting here saying, no. See, I just started getting on the airplane. Even though I'm older, I've been on the airplane only 2 times in my life. I said I wanted to start traveling, then all this stuff started happening. As soon as I say I want to start traveling, getting on the plane, this ain't right. No,
but what we're saying is that I have more links. I'm just going to send the links out to you guys because it's too much information that I can push out at you But go to these these political leaders. They can tell you more truth than I can because it's gonna come out their own mouth. They're not making this a secret. They're making this. They're putting this information
But
out here.
like they said that when you was listening earlier, they said people they put it in the book. That's why we don't get it because we don't really like to
we don't want to
read
and it's a truth.
So that's why we miss out on so much.
That's true, and that's what he said. Yeah, that they put it in the book because they know that most people don't want to read, and it is out there. You just got to do your own research again and read this stuff yourself. I got videos that I can show, but the videos are just too long. You have to actually sit down and look up these videos. So my thing is that, and I want to get into Lovely T's mind. Lovely T, I want to ask you, what? So obviously, I got a feeling you don't believe any of this. So but I want you to speak on what is your understanding of this government and this world, the way that it's moving.
I mean, that's an existential question. I mean, that's one of deep thought. I just think that time will tell. That's the best indicator. So what you're saying, like you said, the information can be found. But just like the Bible exists, the Quran exists, and they're slightly different stories, and you have people that believe one to be true and the other one to be, in some type of falsehood or whatever. I think that, there are multiple versions of what can happen out there. The one that you're presenting may have some truth to it, but all the outcomes may not play out as they're being stated because that's one perspective. Like the things that are happening are obviously happening. You said that video came out in 2011, but we have yet to see some of the things that they predicted. And who's to say that those will be the things? Like I said, that's just one perspective. So do I believe that perspective is real? Sure. Do I believe that it's what's going to actually unfold to the exact degree? No, I don't. I think there's room for a better outcome. I have hope.
Okay. Now here's the thing. When you say hope, do you have hope in make America great again? Like, what do you mean when you say you have hope? I mean, hope is a good thing. Hope is a good thing. Hope is a good thing. So I'm not negating that. Hope is a great thing. But I'm saying is, what is the hope
Is it hope in the system?
Hope in humanity. Hope in evolution. Hope in that one way or the other, we will exist. We will get through this. What we look like is yet to be seen.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts on that RW3? Just the sake of in having this conversation. Well, you're on mute.
I mean, this is a valuable conversation. I think it's very interesting. Just looking at a little bit about that forum, it does, it's giving me that space to really do some research because, in theory, I guess to what Lovely T said, like when I'm reading some of the words, because I really don't have hope in humanity, I have hope in God. So I'm not a humanity person myself. So when I'm looking, in theory, they're talking about, quote unquote, making things better. And they said something about, poverty and a lot of things that they're writing is supposed to be better. So I need to really drill down because I want to drill down who's on the board, and who are they, and what is their history, what is their intent, based on their history. But my hope is not humanity. My hope is in, if I just trust and believe in God, everything gonna be all right. So that's more my lean. But there's some chicanery going on as I begin to read about this world, this forum, especially because when I first started reading the people on the board, I just saw foreign people. I'm seeing Microsoft and people from the US sitting up on that board.
Yeah.
So that concerns me.
But then you have to go, hey, yeah, just do your, I don't want to put anything in mind, just do your research, because I don't have to, it's just out there for everybody to see. They put it out there because they don't care. But so let's see what happens going into 2021. And I guess that's the thing that we'll need to see. But if I was a prophet, to prophesy, I'm and good. I know we're supposed to uplift people. The Bible tells us that we're supposed to be encouraging people, and we should do that in Yeshua. I think we should encourage people because there is hope in Him. I don't think there's hope in an evil world, but I think that there's hope in Him. So my prediction going into 2021 is that we're going to see a lot. We're going to see more things that's going to add up to where they want this system to go. We're going to see a lot more government control, so to speak. Listen, let me say this. There now, and I can't tell you this resource. I can only just put it out there. This one you're gonna have to take my word for what I'm saying as true, because I can't put the people involved in this on the platform. But they're testing right now, right, about controlling dollars, how they actually give you money. There's people right now under this government, under this unemployment, where they're giving them money. They're not putting the money in their, per se, bank accounts. But these people have the money in their account, like these different banks. I can't even say the name of the banks. These banks have the money for your unemployment. And when you do something wrong, they can stop your card right now. They can cut you straight off, where you will have to call back in, and give them a reason why this happened. And then they'll do some research on you, checking out if everything right, and then they'll release your money back onto your, so you can have access to your card. To buy you some food. They've already tested the system out. Oh my God, I'm not upset. I just got so much energy because I know what's going on. They're testing the system out right now.
So if you don't go down there and get your vaccination and they don't have proof, I'm shutting your stuff off.
They're doing it. And this is really tests. These are tests so that they can understand what they're going to do. So, but they're turning it now with the unemployment. And guess what? This all happened after COVID. This has happened during the COVID, as though this is part of a plan. Guys, listen. I digress. I'm out of it. It gets me rolled up because I see this and I'm like, well, this couldn't possibly be a coincidence. Everything is not coincidence. I mean, why are you doing these tests on these people and you're cutting their money because they slide the card somewhere else and then they go somewhere, slide the card, and they'll cut them off, and then they have to call in to say why they did what they did and to see if who you are, and then they'll release your money
People
back
don't
to you.
have to see who you are every day.
And they do it a lot. Crazy. They do it a whole lot.
But they just like right now. Well, y'all know my area. So I was went to this one gas station. This was strange. And got some gas. Then I went to one Northwest Highway about a mile, and then it didn't work. Then I went to another one, it didn't work. So I called, the bank. What's going on? Well, we saw some activity that seemed strange. I said, that's right down the street. How's that strange? That I'm right down the street and I'm using my car. So now to avoid that, before I go out of town, I call them. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be traveling, so don't be stopping my money flow because they think it's fraud.
Yeah.
So Governor Whitmore announces a temporary, limited 3-week shutdown in Michigan.
Bam. See,
bam.
Guys, listen. We have to. Okay, so turn your ears off to this if you don't want to hear it. But I need to say this because I have to be proactive in this site, on this platform. And this, to me, I don't care. I have to say this. Listen, the only way you're going to see this clearly is that you have to have Yeshua in your life. The Holy Spirit has to be there to begin to show you what's going on. Because the Bible said he's going to reveal it to his people. He is. He's going to reveal the truth. This is coming down to something far bigger than what we think it is. This is takeover. And listen, I'm going to jump out there. And next week, I'm going to bring some more research if we not shut down. But I'm going to do some more. I'm going to bring some more stuff up there. But listen, this is all about control over people. Listen, okay, it's something I don't want to say certain words because I can't say certain words. But if you don't understand what's going on, they don't. There's too many people on earth. Bill Gates have said this. Now Bill Gates is connected with a lot of the vaccinations. He's helped finance do research on Bill Gates and some of the vaccinations he's helped finance, and the recent ones he's helping finance. They've already said there's too many people on this earth. That's global warming. If you look into that, what is that word they've been using? Not global warming, but the other one. What is the other one, guys? Is global warming is the other.
Climate change.
Yeah, climate
change. Climate change right now, if you look up climate change and what the whole thing is behind it, they're saying there's too many people on this earth, and what these people are doing, they're using too much electricity, they're burning too much energy in the air, so what they're saying is it's too many people on the earth. Not that they can change this and make it green again, but they're saying that there's too many bodies that's on this earth and we have to get rid of people. Listen, if the rain's out there, these guys are talking about this.
And then mark my word also, mark this day. Today is what? What's today's date? The what? 8th or 9th, whatever it is. Mark my word, the next thing going to be happening is people they're gonna be knocking at people's doors and pulling people out their houses. I'm just saying it today. Just kind of keep it in the back of your head. Just say, Natasha said that.
That's heavy right there.
All right.
That's a heavy one right there.
But time is going, like we said, time is of its best essence. It's going to listen, what we're saying, we got to eat our words if we're saying everything wrong. So our best teacher is time. So, but here's the thing. Hopefully it's not too late. Yeah, we got conspiracy theories. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, they out there. We can say that they do exist, because they do. But time is his best teacher. All I'm going to say is because it is up, I have to say this, that the only way you're going to see, and this is to anybody out here, you have to have a prayer life. You have to understand what the word says. I got to say this. You have to have a prayer life. You have to know what the word says, because the Bible speaks about all of this. And guess what? It's happening before our very eyes about the tribulation that we're going to have to go through. The Bible calls it the great tribulation that we're going to go through. The beast have to show up. But before he do, chaos has to happen. This world has to be in a state of chaos in order for that old myth that everybody don't know or never believe or thought it was sci-fi, that the Antichrist take a position. This world has to be in chaos. So what I'm telling you is now what you're seeing is that picture happening now before our very eyes. Now listen. You don't have to believe me. I feel obligated to say this because of who I am. I have to say that Yeshua HaMashiach is the way out of this. If you want to know how to prepare, know him. Speak to him. Get on your knees. Be a prayer person because of what's going on. Because guess what? You can't control it. You can't. There's no way you can control something that has already been put out to happen in this world. This world has grown evil and eviler and evil every minute of the day. I digress. I pull away from it. So, but I have to say that you have to. But I am again. I'm going to say you do have to know Christ. You do have to. I know it. I get out. Here you go. You're talking about the. Yeah, I know. I get it. I understand. Me too. You know what I mean. So, but I'm just saying that that's your way out of knowing who He is and understanding that there is some things that's going to happen, and the Bible speaks on it. And all you have to do is sit back and tighten your belt because the roller coaster about to happen. And it's starting now. It's about to happen. You about to go on this ride, whether we want to go or not, kicking and screaming. I want to show a video. I'm gonna end it on this. Jasmine, look up a link. There's a link I put in the group. In fact, this is what I want you to do. Can you personally take that link, Jasmine, that we know about, and I want you to share it with somehow Lovely T and RW3 so that they could just get those couple of links themselves. But I want you to go in there and I want you to look up a link in the Google Docs. It's called NBC China. It's called NBC China. And I want you to just get that video and let's post this video up real quick. Because, guys, I want you to see this video that's real time. It's NBC China. And I want you to see, post that link so we can look at this link. I just want you guys to see something. What Tasha said about them coming to your house and knocking on your door if you don't submit to what they need you to do. What's going on? Yeah, and guess this not an animation. What you about to see? You about to see in real time. So let's play this video. Hey, Jasmine, go back to the title again so we can make sure we understand what's going on in this video. So take it back. Now, pause it real quick. Go now. I want you. What does that video? Can y'all read that? I can't see it. This video. What did it say?
I can't see that either.
Can you make that big somehow? Can you guys see it? I don't know if you guys can see it.
Video appears to show people in China forcibly taken for quarantine over coronavirus.
Okay, now push play. Let's go ahead and play it. Watch what they placed them in. That's a box. Watch you hear the screaming and yelling out of that box. Okay, that's enough of the video. Now, I'm going to send you links.
What they doing? Killing them in that
No,
box?
I don't know. They were taking them to quarantine because they wasn't in compliance with the quarantine. Yeah. And guys.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
China is a communist government. To be honest, I can't imagine in America the uprising it would be if in this society that they're gonna come in the house and start pulling people out. I don't think that's gonna happen. And then China and communist government, they roll over people with tanks in China and when they in Red Square.
Right.
That stuff don't. I mean, in the U.S.
Well, and that's fine. That's cool. I get that. And listen, that's what this show is about. That's what this show is about. It's about real talk. It's about our own opinions, and I get that. That's true. And I'm just showing the video, and all what am I alluding to? What's to say that won't happen to you? Now, here's the thing. Communism and socialism is almost the same thing. It rides down the same narrative. So my thing is what I'm saying.
We're not socialists, Tone.
Not yet, but you will be. Trust me, not yet. But right now you're a capitalist. But the money aspect of it, of you getting money and them turning your money off, government controlling you, I believe that we're going to roll into a socialist society where we're going to be governed by, and our income is going to be controlled not by you anymore. Capitalism is not going to exist anymore. Now this is my opinion. This is my opinion. That I want to make straight. I want to make sure that you hear that. This is my opinion. I believe that the same thing that you're seeing in these countries is going to be the same thing that's going to happen in America, and it's just now that's going to be an overtime. Now here's the thing. There was someone. It was I got to find this video where the guy asked this banker. He was a high up guy. He said that, how soon can the coin, the dollar, change into a digital system where the money is controlled? He said overnight. He said we can do it overnight. All we need is to go ahead. He said we're prepared to do it overnight. Well, we can change the economy, the dollar, overnight, where it now would be digital instead of the currency that you have right now in your pocket. They can do it overnight if they want to.
Push up a button.
And Deshaun said, just to give him, Deshaun says, well, Sue Rogers says, yep, some will survive and others won't. And Deshaun said, this will happen. This will happen. So Deshaun said they about to come pull him out the house.
Yeah, no, it's just up to, all my thing is my job, me personally, not this platform, my job is, when I'm burdened with something, is to share it. It's how you interpreted it. I get that. You know what I mean? But I will.
So what do you want to tell the people though?
Well, I want to
prepare.
Well, see, here's the thing. What our house does, I don't want to, I hate throwing our own nose, but we're preparing food, we're getting our things together. There's things, I don't want to put all my business out there on national, but we're preparing. We're getting ourselves prepared for whatever happened or whatever people might think not happen, but we're preparing ourselves in areas like a lot of other people that I know are preparing because they don't want to be. Now here's the thing. You can't prepare for what's about to happen because it's going to happen regardless. So it is about your right way is preparing is, to me, salvation. That's the strongest way to prepare. Now that's from my perspective on how to prepare for this, because it's going to happen whether you want to believe it or not. You know what I mean? Whether I want to listen. I would love to see another bright day, a sunny day. I can go fly around the world. I want to go to Africa. One of my things is I want to go to Ghana. I want to go visit Ghana. I want to go over there. I want to visit Africa. I've always wanted to do that. It's a lot of things that I still have on my, but at the same time, and not my will, but his will be done. And see, that's the interpretation that I've been getting in my prayer life. So, but my thing is that you prepared by salvation. You prepared by knowing who he is. You prepared by your time in prayer, whether you believe it or not. Listen, you better listen. All I'm saying is prepare that way. That's the main way. And then you let the Ruach, which is the Holy Spirit, guide you in what it is you need to do, because you should be doing something and not thinking that this world is just going to go the way it is. It is changing whether we want to believe it or not. So guys, I don't want to run this podcast down, too much. I thank you guys for listening.
Thank you all. Yes.
I thank you. Yes, listen. I thank you for even giving us a chance. I thank the people for leaving the comments. I see we have like-minded people that are.
Yeah,
out
we got
there.
some really good feedback and really good interaction on this.
That's good, and maybe we
Absolutely.
might continue putting just more information out there. And listen, I'm not trying to beat anything in nobody's head. I just want you to see what I've been seeing, so you can make your own decision. But at least the information is being shared, so that you won't just totally be in the dark. You can say, "Well, I did see something." You know what I mean? So, and trust me, I got plenty more where that come from. This
I believe you.
Yeah, and these people talking about it. I'm not talking about it.
No.
These people talking about it. I'm just blown away that they actually talking about this stuff. So you guys, listen, we love you guys. And when I mean we love you, we really love you. It's not just word play. We do love is shown in action, not just in words. It's shown in action, and that's what we're doing.
Showing up every Sunday and give you guys great information.
That's right,
Yes.
and that's what we're doing. You know, I pray that you get this information and that you process it in a way that you need to process this information that's healthy. What was said sometimes?
Something told me to tune in a day for some reason.
Wow.
All
See,
right. There
yeah,
we
that's
go.
right. That's right, brother.
All
That's
right.
That's right. So that's what's going on. So we'll see you next Sunday at 4:30. Hey, listen, 4:30-ish.
4:30-ish.
Yeah, well, yeah, 4:40-ish actually. We ain't even been coming on at no 4:30. About 4:40-ish. Listen, RW3, let me stay on just for 1 second so we could just talk about some things real quick.
All
So
right, guys,
we'll listen, like and share this page. Share, share this to your people, whoever it is whoever believe or they confident or not walking in fear. Because I know we don't supposed to put fear in people.
No.
This is not fear, but we definitely supposed to wake people up. That's what our job is to do, and that's what our ministry is to wake people up. It's up to you to receive it, and that's on you. But guys, we just stay tuned for next week, and we'll get back with you.
All right, peace.
Three strikes. I'm out.
Have a lovely day.